Good evening, everybody. I know it is late, but I had to create this video before I went to sleep. Um, it's been a while since I've been on, but everything is good. Just working on some things, finishing up a few projects. You all will learn about those projects in the future. But I had to definitely get on before this date ended to share a warning, um, and then I'm gonna do a general talk afterwards. Who knows what is going to come up? But I know I had to share this. So whenever I dream, there are times when, and a lot of people know me as a dreamer, but now it's starting to get to the point where whenever I have a dream and I hear certain words or I see certain words, I have to look them up. Um, and every time I look them up, they are something that's real. And so last night I had a dream of I would call it like an alien like creature with four arms. And I said alien like creature because the head reminded me of if you've seen the movie Alien, it almost looked like it was the shape, but it was a brain. And of course, they had mouth and things like that. But this being was working behind a desk. And when I noticed what was on the desk, it was the internet, it was newspapers, it was books, it was television scripts. And um, immediately the spirit began to talk to me about how there is demonic activity going on in the social media world. There's a whole lot of demonic activity happening. So be careful what you're watching. Be careful what you're putting into your airways. So your eye gate, your ear gate, right? Sometimes you have to separate yourself from things from a while. You have to cut off that television. You have to cut off your radio. Um, because what I was getting was that it is causing a distraction. A lot of people right now are going through some things and they're trying to figure out, why am I going through this? Why am I having mental anguish? And it's because of the things that you're putting into your mind, you're putting into your spirit, and it's clouding, and it's demonic activity. But also what I thought was interesting was that whenever I looked up the name, it was an actual place. And so the name was Kangla. And so when I looked that up, it is they say that it's a spirit that protects people in the city of Manipur, which, or I guess that's how you pronounce this. It's Manipur. And it is, I guess you would say, like an Indian type place. That's where I was getting. Um, and there was a portion of the research that I did on this word Kangala, and it said it was a lion. It had the body of a lion, the head of a dragon, and it had two horns. And it said that it was supposed to help protect the people of Manipur, and it was said that that the kings of this, I guess you would say, dynasty, or this people, worshiped this being and was said to have gained some power, became a populous city until it was overtaken. And so I don't know if things are happening in that area, but I had to share this with people. I had to share this. I don't know what's happening. Clearly, I'm in the United States. I don't know what's happening in another country that I'm just not learning about. But I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see this name or something to pop up in the future about some type of activity happening in or around this location. But it is demonic. I it I never thought that I would be the type of person that would be doing nothing like this. So, so if this is your first time on this channel and you're like, oh my gosh, this man is crazy. He's talking about demonic activity. No, just understand that no, this is truly a warning. I don't know if you have friends or family in that area. I don't know if you are a researcher or you going to school and they're going to this area. Be careful. Be careful because there's some activity that's coming out of this area that is highly demonic and it is coming for a lot of people. Um, whether that is the making of things to wear to content because and really and really a lot of it was content. Again, the dream was surrounding everyday tools that we use. It was using platforms. Um, and I know my mom would say, did you bind the dream up? I did. But sometimes my dreams are not things that can be bound up, it's things that are going to happen. And so I'm warning people, be careful out there. And also if you want to know more about this demonic spirit, or this name is Kangla. Again, Kangla. And you can look up the history of this city and everything. Um, I just thought it was something that I needed to share. This isn't something that I could keep quiet. I know the last few times I have shared something like this, they have come true. They have come true. And so I did want to share that. And because even also there is one part where there was this temple and it's like a cave that men go through. And when the men go through this temple, they're said to have different stages. And supposedly there's some type of demonic worship that happens. So or some type of worship. They didn't say demonic, they just said worship, but I'm calling it demonic because that's how the message came to me, was demonic. So I'm sharing that with you. But outside of the warning, um, I did just want to kind of check in and have a general talk because with my last video, it was mainly towards men. And then my friend and I, we were talking. Well, actually, several friends and myself were talking just about relationships in general, and we were began to talk about communication, right? And it's funny how this demon is literally attacking all forms of communication. So, you know, the messages are getting out there. There's hidden messages within messages that are corrupting people. Uh, and we already have communication problems. Just as human beings, we're flawed. We're not perfect. And when there's conversations that need to be had, ask yourself, are you having them? Is the conversations that are coming up, are they speculations? Are they assumptions? Are they misperceptions? Or are you actually addressing certain issues with people? Are you actually going to the person and having that conversation? Because a lot of times people will say that, oh yeah, we're talking, we've talked about it and we've come to a resolution, and then you're yet again still having the same problems. And so I just wanted to kind of share that, continue to talk, continue to examine yourself, continue to um, make sure that you're doing the best, because a part of healing deals with communication. You have to know what the problem is, the issue is, in order to address it. You can't say, oh, well, there's a problem, but you don't state the problem, because your perception is different from the other person's perception. It is only until you begin to talk these things out that you find the solution, that you find out, oh, this is where I misinterpreted the message, and this is where you interpreted the message, and this is the message. We all get on the same page when we hear and do things in order, right? Um, Healing is an orderly thing because even with healing, there's a process, right? You get the wound, but then you don't just let the wound sit there. You do have to clean the wound. You then have to dress it up in the proper dressings, and then you have to cover it and let it heal, begin to heal. And then there is one point where you're going to have to remove the bandage and let that scab, or what it is, or however it's healing, stay on there for a while until it is ready to fall off. And I just remember as a kid, whenever I got a scab, it's like, oh, it's scabbed up. I can peel it off, and I peel it off, and then the wound is fresh all over again. And then my mom's like, no, leave that on, leave that on so that it can heal. And that's what we have to do as people. We can't be so ready to finish the process of healing that we remove the scab, that thing that is keeping us together before it's time. Because the minute you do that, you're reopening that wound. You are reopening what has been bothersome to you. You are reopening a closed case. That's what I'm hearing. You're reopening a closed case. And whether or not you think it's completely closed or not, it's closed. Because one thing about God is that God does things differently than we could ever perceive. And there's things differently than what we can ever do. We don't understand it, but that's how God works, right? God doesn't work in your everyday natural human ability. He doesn't work around so that we can understand. That's where the term comes from, like, don't question God. It's not so much as the actual question, but it's like, don't try to figure God out. God is God. God will do what God does. Spirit will do what spirit does. Jesus did what Jesus did and continues to do, right? So I don't want it to get misconstrued that, you know, just because it don't look like what I picture it, that it's not what you have been prayed for, or not what you have prayed for and asked God for. Your healing may look different. It's going to feel different. And I had a conversation with someone recently about that because um, he was saying, I had certain plans, and my plans are not coming out the way that I wanted them to. And I said, have you considered that God is giving you what you prayed for, but it just looks different for you. And because it looks different for you, you don't know how to receive it. And he just stopped to think about it. Because again, and I often bring up this a lot on this channel, on this platform, is that if you read Genesis, I promise you, when I saw the revelation of how God said, I watered the earth from the ground up. The water came from the ground up. That is how I watered the earth. It wasn't so much so that the water fell from the sky to water the earth. It came from the ground up to water the earth. I said, wait. We always talking about God, let it rain so that it can water my plants. How many times have people said, Lord, let the water from underneath the earth rise and water my plants? How many times have y'all said that? How many times have y'all said, Lord, my grass is green, is dry, is looking brown, it's not green. Lord, I ask that the water from underneath the earth rise up to the roots of my plant to water them, to nurture them back to life, back to being green. How many times have you said, God, I need this to happen, God, I need that to happen, and God does it, but it doesn't look like how you thought it should look. I remember the first time I got a brand new car, I kept saying, God, I need a car, God, I need a car. God was saying, go get rid of this car. And I'm like, I can't get rid of this car. I don't have any money. Like, how we get a new car? I just can't go up to the dealership and say, oh, I'm gonna pay you this for a new car. And I kept playing around. When I tell you, and I'm not gonna lie, I did love my car. It was a little hoopty. I loved it, and the seatbelt broke. I have never known a seatbelt to break in a car, ever. Without being in an accident, mind you. And so I was buckling my seatbelt in the passenger seatbelt. Like that was my car. I was going to. I had full intentions to get that car fixed. It was going to be like a pimp my ride type of situation. It wasn't going to have the grill in there, everything like then the spinners and all that. But I was going to rebuild that car. But I was driving on my way to work one morning, and if you're on the highway, you know the speed limit is 70, 75 at the max. Well, in this particular area of town. And so I'm driving that. And where I'm at driving to in the morning, there's traffic. So that means we do frequent stops. I'm going full speed. My brakes stopped working. And I said, oh no, my brakes is not working. My brakes is not working. I'm pushing hard. Let it fall and at least scrape the ground. I can't go to the right or to the left because there's people driving equally as fast as myself. There's an 18 wheeler coming down. I'm not trying to pull out in front of that because it's going to hit me. There's a rail on this side. There's a wall on this side. I hit the car in front of me. And nobody was hurt. They totaled out my car. And so there I was being forced now to get a car because I didn't go out and get the car like God asked me to. But now I'm at a dealership and I get a new car. I think it was a 2016 Nissan Sentra. And I get that car. And I'm like, okay. And I'm able to make the payments on the car because that was the other thing. I don't have enough money to make the payment. Never tell God what you can't do because you can do that. And so, because I didn't see how I could get a car, God made it so that I was forced to get a new car. So I share that story to say to you, pray for another vision. Pray for a different vision. Pray for a new perception. Pray for that so that whenever you are praying to God, the vision that's in your head, God, if this isn't the vision that you have for me, for this concerning this matter, concerning this thing, please show me, please direct me and guide me to how you want me to execute this thing. Please show me the blueprint that you have, that you created when you gave me this vision, when you put this thing on my heart, because it's meant for you to do it. It's meant for you to I'm hearing carrying it on. So I don't know, maybe it's a legacy project, but I'm literally hearing carrying it on. It's meant for you, and sometimes you have to get out of yourself, re-examine the thing, re-examine yourself, and execute off of those principles. I'll say, I was about to say guidelines, but not those guidelines, but off of those principles. And I call them principles because they are the principles of living well. But it's all about communication. Are you communicating with God, or are you telling God what your plans are? Those are commands. That's not actually communicating. Communicating means you're asking questions, you're trying to get deeper into the subject matter at hand. You want to understand what's happening. You want to know why things are happening the way they are, but you also want to understand why you're reacting the way that you are. Why is this person or reacting the way that they're acting? You want to get to the bottom of it so that you can squash it and move on from it. And that's all that God wants us to do with these lessons. He wants us to learn the lesson, get it the first time, get it communicated to us the right way, where we are fully receptive and not trying to input our own thoughts and, as they say, our own little stank on it. Because when we put our own little stank on it, it gets disrupted. The plans get disrupted. So please be careful with that, people. Please listen to God. Write out the instructions as He said it. It worked for Noah. It will work for you, right? It worked for Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It will work for you. It worked for Miriam, Mary, Mary Magdalene, Esther, Ruth, Peter, Paul, and John. It'll work for you too. But you have to listen and you can't put your own thing on it. So I just wanted to leave you all with that. This was a very brief video. It wasn't nothing drawn out, but those were the two topics that have been going on my mind lately. It's communicating, and then this demonic spirit that is affecting our communication. So maybe even that is the thing as well. You getting thoughts from the computer, from certain books, from magazines, from the radio, and their demonic activity that's putting thoughts and ideas in your head of something that is not true in your relationship. And so now you looking at your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your friend. We have friends these days. Um, and you look giving them the side eye, and it's like that thought, that perception in your mind is untrue, and you get written out a whole narrative, a whole story as to why this person did what they did, and um, why you not gonna take it, and how you gonna deal with it the next time it comes up. And if that's not true, then you making yourself look foolish, and you destroying your own relationships. You're destroying your own relationships. So you all, as I always say, I hope you take what you needed to take. Please share the video with those that you feel like need to hear this message. Really, everybody should hear the warning if they don't even watch anything else. But definitely share it for the warning. If you came in a little later, please go watch the beginning to get the warning. But most of all, as I always say, don't try to figure it out. Just be blessed. And thank you again for tuning in to Healing in the Vein. You have a good night.